So let's talk a little bit about how did you end up at St. John's? And what was that journey like to get recruited and decide what school and college you wanted to play at and making that transition from high school to, Division I collegiate setting? Let's start with the recruiting journey. How did that play out?
Well, it's definitely a very interesting story. And my Coach JoJo, I think it's her, I want to say it's her favorite, but who knows? It's definitely her top 5 recruiting stories ever. But to start from the beginning, so I started really looking when I was a freshman in high school. That's when, you start getting those letters from all different types of schools. And probably my most achievable one was definitely from Stanford. Pretty sure I still have that one. That was the only one I ever got. But I started getting letters then, and that's when I really started, okay, what is going to be, my top 5 schools? And working with my dad, and, this is definitely a new area for us because he's never been, I'm his firstborn, so he's never done anything like this. So this was a completely different area for both of us, and it was definitely a really different journey. But, going to college camps, speaking to college coaches, or at least he was at these tournaments in the mainland. And being in Hawaii, we definitely have a disadvantage because we don't get to do those tournaments all the time. College coaches aren't flying out to Hawaii, every single tournament that we have. So when we go to the mainland, we really have to show everything we got and showcase our talent, and really separate ourselves from the entire, the US. And so when that initially started happening, we were doing those camps out. My main school and my dream school was UCI, which was University of California, Irvine. And my first Team USA team, Paula was the head coach at UCI. And I was also coached by Ben. Unfortunately, they're not there anymore. But that's where I really fell in love with their coaching and who they are, and really just loved to play for them. And that's why I really wanted to go to UCI. But unfortunately, things didn't work out my sophomore year because they didn't have any scholarships available for out-of-state kids. And so the search continued. I was looking at Utah and Texas Tech and Washington and, a bunch of other different schools, and St. John's was nowhere near my radar. And, we were talking to them, and it came to my junior year where I was still unsigned. And, one day we had our combine, and this is when the combine first started happening too. And they were actually doing clinics where the college coaches would go and do these clinics with these younger girls who, of course, weren't thinking about college yet. And my sister, who's 5 years younger than me, was actually at this clinic. And it's really funny, but I just got my nails done and my hair done because I was going to prom that night, my junior prom. And I was just sitting in the bleachers, sitting like a boy with my, just leaning over on my, this on my legs and just on my phone and watching. And my Coach JoJo goes, "Who's that girl in the stands? What's her name?" And I think she was speaking to Coach Deb, and she's like, "Oh, that's Shawna-Lei Santos." And she's like, "Is she signed? Is she going to be there tomorrow at the combine?" And she's just like, "No, she's not in the combine." And mind you, this is the only combine that I did in Hawaii. And she asked if I could be there. And so they came up to my dad and told me "Hey, can Shawna go to the combine tomorrow?" And I'm not too sure if we paid for the combine. I just showed up and was like, "Okay, 8 hours of volleyball, let's go." And I just had fun. I played every single position. I was just doing myself and doing what I do and just had fun with all these girls. And at the end of the combine, I was talking to the UCI coach who was there. And after JoJo approached me and my dad was like, "I think you're a great player. I see that you're really good. I want to offer you a full ride scholarship to St. John's University." And me and my dad were just like, "What?" what's going on right now? And the UCI coach did not like that whatsoever. And so after doing further research about St. John's, we were just like, okay, this is a really good school. Didn't think anything about it. Didn't even know what the Big East was. Didn't know it was in New York. Had no idea what kind of academics there are. Had no idea what the team history is. And so we just were like, okay, let's go visit. And so that summer, going into my senior year in high school, we did an unofficial tour where JoJo showed us around. She actually took us on her boat, showed us the campus, just showed me all the different departments that they have at the school and what they offer. Showed me, the court and the weight room and everything like that. And I was like, okay, this looks really good. And so after talking with my dad, we decided, St. John's is going to be a good fit for me. And, I could definitely grow here and just learn a complete different culture. And it's such a different area from, in Hawaii, where it's very slow paced and the people are laid back. And going to New York is a complete different, opposite of Hawaii. And I knew that I wanted to get off the island and kind of far away as possible. And that definitely achieved that. And the 5 things that I always tell girls when you're looking at schools is academics. If it has any of the interests that people have, whatever department it is, how are the athletics? What is their history like? How are the girls? How long has the coach been there? The third thing is, is it in a place where you can live? Do you want to be in a place where it has all 4 seasons, or do you want to be in a place that's where it's warm majority of the time? Or do you want to be out in the middle of nowhere? Or do you want to be in the city? The fourth thing is, trying to figure out if this is a place where you can, really just grow as a person on and off the court, and the fifth thing is food. Food definitely plays a big role into it, at least in my opinion. In New York, you have all this different food, and I was about it. So St. John's ended up being my final choice that I committed my senior year.
That's an awesome, interesting story. I mean, how things just
Yeah.
kind of unravel and fall into place. You were at the right place at the right time, and you got
Mm-hmm.
to show them what your skill set and what your volleyball is like, and then everything just kind of unwound from there, and then you ended up going to St. John's.